Yeah, I'm solving a bug that I had, adding duplicate edges from in my graph from positions to where they can move to. And the solution is to detect if all pieces are on the main diagonal, and if so, then only generate canonical moves. Oh, you don't even know what the project is, yeah. Yeah, it's about finding out what the optimal way to give mate with a king and a rook versus a king is on an infinite big chessboard. Or a quarter infinite. It has to end at some point. Let's see, that must be the difference, I'm sure. If it is 0, then we are on the main diagonal, which is okay, which is canonical. So less than n means that dn is less than dm. No, larger than dm. For example, dm is 0 and dn is 1. That's not correct. That should be m. N minus m. No, I'm a real hacker, not a hacker from the social media and the wannabe teenagers. Yeah, if you go to Google, Type in hacker FAQ. I get more links than I used to. I think this is the one. This describes what a hacker is. If you think that a hacker is someone who breaks into computers, steals, erases hard disks even, I don't know, security. I think that's more the word for adolescent. I never did that, even as an adolescent, by the way. I've never been in cybersecurity. If you read that FAQ, that describes exactly me. And indeed, occasionally, when security got absolutely in my way, I did something related to it, like circumvent. I think that was that was SourceForge. I mean, they didn't want you to get shell access to where the repository was stored, but I needed it, and help desk was too slow, so I called it. Stuff like that, but very minimal. But really, it is just, computers my life. My whole life long, I wake up, I sit behind my PC, and then I stand up when I have to eat or go to the toilet or go to bed. I think that's basically every real hacker's life is where you do hardly anything else than sit behind your PC. And then automatically you go very deep, of course. You want to know everything and find out how it works. Tinker with things, maybe beyond what they were meant to be, but yeah, mostly I've just worked on protocols and stuff like that. I think I was more concerned. The only thing I really was ever concerned with security is I don't want people to break into my PC. So just my PC at home is running everything, including, I won't even say that, I think, it's probably better. But at some point, and I'm not doing that anymore, but at some point I had written all the daemons that listened on ports myself, thinking that if people break in, they use known exploits. So that means for an existing daemon, and if I write my own daemons, then that it probably has bugs, but nobody will know about it, because it's just the source code is not known. I'm the only one running that daemon. So they try out exploits that work for other programs then, but not for my program. That would be very coincidental. Yeah, no, not currently. I'm just running the demon, whatever demon comes with Arch. I think I have only 2 demons now, SSH and postfix, right? Zero day just means that it is a bug that the vendor doesn't know about. If you have a bug in say the SSH daemon, and they fix it, or it is reported and then they fix it, and then they publish it, then you can be safe by simply updating continuously to the latest version. Right? Because the latest version was, the fix in the latest version was released before the information about the exploit was published. Sometimes certain vendors ignore it. Let's say Microsoft is told about a certain bug. Or I told SourceForge about the bug that I used to get access, and they completely ignored it. And then a year later, someone broke in and erased a lot of stuff using the same trick. No, I didn't. I didn't publish it. I think I just mailed them once. So that's not relevant. No, sometimes people say, "Hey, I found an exploit. I found a bug," and then that is being ignored, and then they publish it. Let's say 2 months later, or I don't know, a month later. Say, well, if you ignore us, then we'll just make it public. And then when it is public, then the whole world starts to use that exploit. So from that moment on, it's not a 0 day anymore, of course. It's just the number of days start counting after it is published, I guess. I would say they should start counting as soon as the vendor is being told about it. But if they ignore it, well, that's almost the same as that they didn't. I'm not commercial. I'm not into anything for money. Why would I ask money for that? Well, actually, I did ask money for something. It was something else. So I once erased my own home directory when Linux was still on X3. And I deleted 50,000 files. So I Googled, how can I restore that? And the only thing I could find is that it is absolutely impossible. Also, the developers of X3 themselves say, if you delete stuff from X3, it's gone. Forget about it. I didn't have backups. So then I did, that was unacceptable. I really, really, really wanted my 50,000 files back. So then in 2 weeks' time, I recovered all my files, impossible or not. And I published an FAQ about that for free, how to do it. And I wrote a program that would automate it. And then I realized I should have monetized that, because fuck, the whole world wanted to have that. That was a really big thing. My FAQ is translated in every language of the world. That was in a few weeks' time. I got God knows how many hits, and I got loads and loads of emails from people that thanked me that now they were able to recover something that I had deleted in the past. But my program wasn't perfect, obviously. So then someone mailed me saying, well, I tried your program and it doesn't work. But I have this one-man company and I accidentally deleted a virtual operating system. So one big file, I don't know how big was it, many gigabytes. And he needed that one file back. And my program didn't work because the file was just too big. It didn't work for that. And then I said, well, I can try to help you, but then I want to have so and so many per hour, and I cannot guarantee anything. And he agreed with that. So in the end, I think I made 4,000 euros before I had recovered everything. And let me just repeat what I told this guy. That's the fact that I told it. So I don't know. I did tell him that I was pretty sure that I was the only one in the whole world who would have been able to do this. So he was kind of lucky that he made contact. It was a difficult problem. Yep, let me finish this. So we have only canonical, and that means that, oh yeah, I was thinking about this. So dn is horizontal, dm is vertical, and if we go one step to the left, aka this is -1, and this is 0, then it's less than 0, that's okay. And if it is -1, this is also -1, that would be okay. I think this is the correct formula. Yeah, well, it's a good thing, I guess, because it's the only thing I ever did in my life. Well, not entirely true. I did university, of course, but and I play chess every now and then. But if you spend your whole life behind the PC coding, then you better be good at that. No? I don't know. Okay, I did both again, rook and king moves, and now it should be fixed. So before it was crashing, and now it should no longer be crashing. I hope. That's not good. It's not crashing, but it's also not finishing. What the hell? Why? My elo is low. Low these days. Below 1900. I started playing chess at 18, so that, yeah, too late. How the hell can this not finish? Oh, because it just completely hangs. Interesting. Oh, right. M is very big. What happens here? Tir is very big. Oh, yeah, missing parentheses. This is in rook moves. I have more than light chess. I only play 5+3. And I doubt you can find me on light chess, because Code Forces? What is that? Not following, I guess. Yep, it does not crash anymore. Might as well turn everything off. Hey, I'm on. Yeah, well, I even think that those competitive programming things teach you the wrong way to program. And of course, I'm totally not interested in, I don't know, getting a higher rating than other people. I'm just being myself. Okay, I want to change something else. If you have a chessboard that has a limit, let me put it back. No, sorry. Before I even finish my sentence, I have to commit this. Git diff. Yeah, I want to set that limit back to 16. Data is now changed to include edges. Okay, for example, here it says this is made in 11 ply. But the board is infinitely big on that side. So I doubt it, because I'm pretty sure that what it's going to do here is move the king there. And then I don't know what's it. I don't see it immediately. The point is that it's going to force the black king over here and the white king there, and then give mate on mate here. Why? Because you cannot give mate with the rook here. Why not? So the white king here and the white rook here, that would be made if this was an edge. But it is not an edge. So then the black king would just step outside of the board, or out of this board, go to 16. And then it's not made. But it still thinks that it can give mate in 11 ply. And the reason is that my program currently assumes that the black king cannot step outside of the board. Only because it can, it doesn't count that as a mate. So there is no edge here in terms of the mate position. But there is an edge here in terms of choices for the black king. So you can just cut off the black king. I think putting the rook here is the best move. I think that's the right move here. You put a rook here and then the king can go there, for example. And then the white king goes there, protecting the rook. You can put that on a normal chessboard as well, in this corner. Let's say... No, do I get a board error or do I not get a board error? Oh, too late. Here's the board editor. So if the king is over here and that is over there, and we put this on here. So it came all the way there. It doesn't really matter if it's 16 down or just 7. And then for the rest, 13 and 14 are these two. Yeah, so the position is for the rest is the same. This is with, who's to move? White, I hope. Yeah, white to play. This is made in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ply. But my program says that it is made in 11. And the reason is that it is going to count it, it's going to count it like this. 1, 2, 3. Now, what is the best move here? I think this, because in the end we have to end up there. This is not made. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Although this is also not made. This counts as a mate. But okay, you get the point. This is not made. So how do I detect that you can't give mate in 11 ply? Because the black king just walks away like that. I think there are positions where you just can't give mate at all. No? I think that if the position is like this, you can't give mate. You can cut the king off, but then it just walks out like that way. And then you can, yeah, you can't do anything. Just you go closer, it just keeps walking. You can't even cut it off like that. Costs 2 moves. Interesting. So I definitely want to investigate that if it is indeed possible on a quarter infinite board that you have positions where you can't give mate. Now, so that means that if we walk with the black king like that, now I do not want to calculate the position where the king continues moving that direction. But it kind of escapes. If the black king is able to move off the board on this side, then I'm going to count it as a draw. That is the objective. So, when exactly do I detect that? Well, I think at some point we called king moves for the black king. And then one of the possibilities is, or three possibilities, or at the very least two, are that it can step off the board, either this way or that way. If that happens, then the conclusion must be that black can keep it all. So let's go to the code. This must be in king moves. And well, where color is black. So when the black king moves, yes. Okay, so here we have don't generate position, so the king is beyond the horizontal limit. And of course, here we have beyond the vertical limit. And then I just skipped him, but that's kind of the same as not allowing the king to go there. It's the same as, yeah, you cannot not do a move. But it can do this. I just don't want to return it as a valid move. I think it really doesn't matter what moves we can do at all. The king just escapes. How do I communicate that? I can of course add it anyway, so we just remove this. And then we add it. And then it is returned, and then the caller sees that the black king stepped off the board, and then we handle it there. That's maybe better. So I'm gonna delete this. Don't generate position of the king beyond the vertical limit. So this means that it becomes larger than M becomes larger than the board. No, this is equal to vertical limit -1, and we're going to add 1. So it becomes equal to vertical limit. And we allow that now. And here as well. All those moves are just added. And we add that as squares. I can't really test for illegal moves, can I? Oh yeah, illegal moves doesn't care about the limit. So this still works. That works regardless. So now we return squares that for the black king that are outside of the board, as long as it's a legal position. I mean, for example, the king cannot step outside the board here, because then it would be in check. That's not allowed, but it can go there, and then we still return both of those, or in this position. But yeah, really relevant it is not, I think, because this rook is never going to be outside the board. So if the king can step anywhere outside of the board, it can always step outside the board, even if two of them are illegal. This is illegal, but there is always one left. Unless it's in a corner? No, because then I cannot. No, wait, this is not allowed? But yeah, then this is allowed. It can always go straight, like that, perpendicular to the edge. So what I also can do is add it. Can break out of the loop, I think. If there is any, then there is at least one that is legal, and therefore I can just break out of the loop, clear this, and it is adjacent squares. I don't know, it's a bit vague. You have to click now. Let's just do it like this. Hey, I'm on. That's a good thing. That's a good reason for me to keep streaming. So now this can become a square that's outside the board or over the virtual edges, not the real edges. And if that is the case, then we must interpret that as oh, wait a minute. This one plays backwards, so that's a not good thing that BK can be outside of board. We don't want the black king to come from outside the board, I think. Or do we? No, because if it is outside the board, it should walk the other way. I think it's better to pass a boolean to tell it that in this case it can do this. This is forward. Here we move forward. To now I want to allow it to step outside the board, but in the previous one I do not. So let's add here a true, which means that we are allowed to step outside of the board. So in this case, where we generate forward moves, it is possible that we are a step outside of the board. And if that happens, then that is a better move for black. So we should always do this. I'm not sure I should try to print that board though. So let's do that here then, before we print it. So if something, then I want to say something about, and then it's not valid, and we print, there's a better move for black, baby king, ejecting position, yeah. And instead of calling it a better move, I'm just saying the black king can escape outside the board. Just NNM. Awesome. It is no longer a black king here somewhere that is made. So I stop at 11 ply, which means that the black king is still very close to this corner. It's far away from these internet edges. And why? Because, well, clearly we can only mate it in the corner, or yeah. Can only mate it in the corner. And 11 is so small that it still has to be pretty close to the corner. There is no position where the black king is very far away from the corner anymore. Now, that's beautiful, because now we can only look at the positions of the king, of the two kings, and then say, well, if this is mate in 11 ply, and if the rook is there as well, then, well, maybe I should just draw both kings and then put the rook anywhere where it is mate in 11. So you get just one board where you see immediately that if the rook is on any of these squares, then it will be mate in 11. I think I want to show that. So kind of collapse all of them. Which means that currently I'm running over all these positions. And I want now to group them by the king positions. And what do you need help with? I think I should just store everything again in a different way. So in a map based on with the key where just the positions of the king, of the two kings are used as the key, and then that could have a vector, say for depending on the number of ply. No, I think I want to group everything by ply. Yeah. So I make a vector of with index the ply. Hello, Jante. So given it is given the ply already, and then we have a map, and the map has as key that two king positions, and the info is then a list of where the rook can be. Any place where the rook can be, so that it is with those king positions it's made in that number of ply. And the number of ply automatically determines whose turn it is, so yeah, no problems there. It implies positions, that's a vector, right? First is the board, and then I need a black king. Yeah, I don't need to store the color. This is just a black king position. I'm gonna use square. There is a better way, I think. There's a special thing to create a standard pair. And I forgot, so I'm going to do the lazy way here. Actually, it is already square. Aha. Boss is a square, so yeah, that's nonsense then. You can just create a pair from 2 squares, obviously. Black king first. And then I want to insert this into a map. Well, let's just get a map or create a map that is empty. No. I should be doing this in an object. Can I not use graph for it? Yeah. It's a different structure. It's still a graph? Not really. Yeah, no, you cannot use that anymore. Yeah, I need a different object, separate object for this, because using it as a key means I need ordering, implement some ordering. Let's test if this even compiles now. There you have it. Now I need to be able to compare squares. Could probably just add that to square. This compares to standard pairs. Yeah, that's no. Well, I could still add that. Oh. Left hand side black king is less than the right hand side black king, or not the other way around, and the white king is less than the left hand side white king less than the right hand side white king. The other way around being swapping right hand side and left hand side. Yep. Okay, so everything is filled out, and then we run over all ply, and then we get all positions that are made in that many ply, and you run over them, and we create a key based on the positions of the kings, and then we get rook positions vector, and we add the square of the rook to that. And then I want to show stuff that is any element of this thing. to run over this map after we filled it. Now that would be a value type of that map. But that is the kings to rook map is of course of this type. The value type is a standard pair of two kings and a rook position type. That is too dirty, so I just keep this. And I come and call it the value. Yeah, let me get two kings. Separately. As well as a rook position. Okay, let's just print the two kings. Nah, let's just print the whole shit. More code duplication. The F8 art. Gonna steal it from here. When am I going to record this? So threefold code duplication already. This draws the board. Yeah, that's not working. Damn it. Okay, do this. No, forget it. What it is doing is first line is drawn just part of the board of the border of the board. think I can do this by... This should not be a member function of board, something else. And then pass it a lambda. And then the lambda will do this inner thing. No, the lambda will decide what to print. So I have to call a lambda here. And that is going to tell me if I have to print a king, a black king, a white king, or a rook, or nothing. Well, a white or a black square. But nothing means that we can just do this, right? Because I have N and M. Yeah, I need a break, I think. My brain is not working.